All right, today we're gonna do something that I've been putting off for a very long time, and that's dealing with some of my really bad rust issues on my truck. But first, we're gonna go to Home Depot and get some supplies. I'm only going to Home Depot because I have a gift card for there. Otherwise, Harbor Freight's way cheaper for this sort of stuff. We're gonna get some sandpaper and some primer. All right, so here's our supplies for the job. Me trying this to get the paint off. We had to go with the gray on auto primer. Protection. I don't have any worker gloves, so we're gonna use an old motorcycle glove. So here's the rest of the stuff that I ended up using for this project. I already had this detail brush set, so I did use the steel wire one. I had originally showed you guys the 36 grit of these little sanders. I tried these out. I went back to the store because I needed more, and they had a 3-pack of the 60, not the 36, so I picked up the 60s also. What I did was I first went in with the 36, the extra coarse one that I showed you in the last clip, and then I'd go in with these 60s. I actually cut them up to little squares to make it easier. It worked really well for me because I'd use the corners and then it'd be useless. So I just cut them up as I went. I also did end up using a little bit of this 120 for the really stuck on things that I just couldn't get off. This kind of helped break it up because it's such a finer thing that this actually helped a lot in some of the detailing areas that I'd went in at the end. I also went and bought this attachment for my drill for the wire brush attachment because it was just really stuck on there. What I would do first is I would get it with the 36 and the 60. I would go in with this if it was really stubborn, just to kind of try and break it up, and then I'd go back in with the 36 and then the 60. I also got some painter's tape. I just used trash bags for my painting because that's what I had already, and it was super easy. And just so you can see how hard of a job this actually was, this glove was fine when I started, and there's now holes completely in it. So this was an easy task, but it was definitely worth it in the end. So I hope you enjoy. This is a shot of how my hood looked when I started, so it's a nice reference point for how much rust there was.
All right, so this is either gonna be the greatest idea or the worst idea. Oh, that's so much easier. I could have saved so much money and time.
So the update after a few hours is that it's fucking hot as balls. I am currently plugging in my drill and going to jump in the pool.
All right, so after a few hours of scrubbing, we used the 36 grit and the 60 grit, and then I also went in with a wire brush with the screwdriver, and this is what we're looking like. So we're down to some of the bare metal now. There's still some really hard rust spots that aren't coming up, but just keep going at it. Some of these are just really, really tough, but it's getting there. 8 hours of scrubbing later, before we've washed it, but a lot better than it was.
Just finishing up, drying her off, getting her nice and prepped for the spray we're gonna do. So I just wanted to explain a little bit what happened. My plan was always to go in, sand down the rust, and then spray with primer. I can't find an exact paint match for my truck. I could get the exact paint match color from Chevy, but my truck is 50 years old. So even if I go in with the exact color match, it's not gonna match what it looks like 50 years later. I eventually want to get my whole truck redone, the paint and everything, do the original Chevy color. But for now, I'm just trying to salvage what I have. So this is a good fix for in between. Just sand down the rust, put some primer so you're not gonna get any holes. As I was sanding all this down, it takes a long time, it's a lot of work. You have to sand, wash, and paint all within the same day, or else the rest is just gonna come back. So I was fighting time, I was fighting the elements. It was like 7:30 at night. There was 30 minutes till sunset. I needed to make a choice. I had talked to my dad, and since there was still a little bit of rust, we had talked about putting a rust product on underneath the primer. There's another rust product by Rust-Oleum that you can put right before the primer, and you only have to wait 30 minutes and then you just put the primer straight on. When we had talked, he thought I was using that product because I was using a lot of other Rust-Oleum products, and so he had told me to do that. I was using Permatex, and I read the back right before, and it didn't seem like the right thing. you need to wait 24 hours before you can do the next one and stuff. But I tried to call him, he didn't answer, and I was really fighting time. I was exhausted. I'd been scrubbing off rust all day, so I just decided to go for it because I didn't want to put the primer on and then the rust come back and all this stuff after all this hard work. So I ended up using that, and here's how it went. All right, we have it all taped up. We're gonna go on with this. Oh, it's clear. Wait, what? I'm so
Something's
confused.
supposed to happen.
Why is it clear? I thought it was black.
Why is it
Why is
ugly
it
like that?
Why is it like a weird texture too? Wait, actually, like,
oil?
what the fuck? Look, it's changing. But it says I have to wait 24 hours in between. Oh, weird. My dad just said 30 minutes. You know you've worked hard enough when you're this red. So as you saw in that last clip, the product was going on kind of weird, but it was turning black after a little bit. So that was my little test spot. I was fighting time. I was fighting the humidity was going to come in. I live by the beach. So since it was starting to turn black and it said it needed a full 24 hours to cure, I decided to just go for it on all the spots. And what you guys didn't see was that the rest of the spots didn't end up looking like that. They actually just turned rust colored. I was super confused. It said I need a full 24 hours. You have to do it a couple times. So I was kind of waiting, and after hours of searching on the internet and very different results of if you can use this product this way, if you can't, I came across someone else who did use this product on a forum this way, and the same thing happened to him. He didn't have much rust and he used the product, and he came back 8 months later and it was full of rust. He was able to get it off with a wire brush. Now, on the Permatex PDF of the instructions, it says that you can use it to prep bare sheet metal. You can't. Don't use this if it's not fully rusted. It is a rust reformer. It's not a rust encapsulator. Don't use it if it's not completely rusted. So I got really scared because it said it's really hard to remove. So what I ended up doing is I went back out at midnight and just took wire brush to it because I knew I needed to get off as much as possible. Luckily, I live by the beach, so there was high humidity, so it actually helped in my favor because it helped to get it off a little bit easier. But I knew I needed to do something really quick. Do not use Permatex rust treatment. It will actually rust your truck. So now it is midnight. Luckily there is mariachi music. So I'm bringing the drill back out and I'm going to try and take this off before it permanently dries.
Weight can go really easily. If this took as much as it took today, I would have killed someone.
So what you're looking at now is a color reference of after I took the wire bit to it. What you didn't see was the fact that this product didn't work as it was intended. It was not turning black. It was just simply turning a rust color. So I knew that I needed to take it off after hours of research before it became permanent. So that's what I did. So in the last clip, you know, luckily I live by a very busy street, so I was able to just go out onto that street and do this. There was a lot of partying, a lot of music going on, so it didn't disrupt anyone, but I knew I needed to get it done. The next morning, I went back in with the wire brush, started going back in and sanding, and then I just showed you a clip of what it's looking like after all that. So that next morning, I spent a few more hours getting all this stuff off, going back in, the same thing with the 36 and the 60 grit sandpaper, that wire brush. I was able to get 2 more spots up, and then I basically just restarted the process and redid it all over again, but this time, I just did the primer as I was going to from the start, the intention of the video. We did it the right way. This was definitely a mistake that happened, and you know, it was really annoying. It took me a whole extra day to get this done, but you know, I had to fix it, and I think it's a good lesson for other people because I wasn't able to find much information on this product, on this subject, and I think maybe it'd be helpful for someone else to see my mistakes so that you don't have to make them. That's really it.
So that's looking like after taking a wire brush to it. Second day, second rinse. After scraping off all the Permatex. Everything is taped in.
This is after I've added the primer. I just simply followed the instructions on the bottle. I didn't do anything different or crazy.
Wait, I actually have a mask line.
So here's the final product. Is it fantastic? No. Is it gonna work for the time being? Yes. And that's all I was looking for. This was my first go at this, so it was a really great experience for learning how to do some body work, and I'm happy with it.